3 questions you have to be able to answer about any of your deals. Why should the customer change? Why should they pick you? And why should they act now? These 3 questions combine to create the much-loved framework, the 3 whys. More so than any questions in sales, they're going to tell you where you stand in a deal and where to focus your actions. But before we dip our beaks into the questions themselves, we should clear up, who are these questions for? Are they for me, my customer, my manager, or somebody else? Well, they are for everyone. The 3 whys don't discriminate. They can be used in your own head as a qualifier, they can be used with your colleagues, your manager, or even a partner. But best of all is with your champion, where you empower them to be able to answer the questions so they can effectively sell internally for you. They're going to help you focus everyone on being able to confidently answer why should they change, why should they choose you, and why should they act now. And they are in that order for good reason. The first why is why change, which is sometimes defined as why anything or why this. It's the first why because if the customer isn't convinced about why they should make a change, it doesn't matter who has the best solution or anything to do with the timing, the deal is not going to happen. From a competition perspective, with why change, we consider the competitor type of inertia, aka doing nothing. It could be that they stay with their current provider if they have one, or that they have some kind of workaround, or that a solution represents value or a way of doing things that they just haven't considered yet. Inertia is lethal because unless you can overcome it, it won't matter how great your solution is or how much better it is than your competition, the customer is not changing. To overcome inertia, we have to tackle the status quo, and to do this effectively, we need to uncover the pain that exists without change. But identifying the pain is just the starting point. Professional salespeople know that merely identifying pain is not enough to drive change. We have to work on indicating the costs of the pain and subsequently the implications of the pain. So imagine we are selling a talent management and onboarding HR solution. Our unique selling point is that we combine talent management with rapid onboarding. Let's say we are selling to OpenAI, who, as you may expect, have some big talent growth goals. The pain they are facing is that hiring in the AI space is highly competitive, and they are losing out on candidates due to their competitors' ability to outpace them in their hiring efforts. Here we have simply covered the first level of pain. We call it I1, identified pain. However, even though sometimes merely identifying the pain is enough, and there are salespeople who have built entire careers around just identifying the pain and then demoing how their solution solves the pain, for most opportunities, this is not going to be enough to drive change. It doesn't give a compelling answer to the why change question. We have to go further. The next level of pain is I2. The indication of pain. This is where we indicate to the customer how much the pain is costing them. In a MEDDICC sense, this is where the metrics start to come in. The indications of the aforementioned pain could be indicated by OpenAI only converting 2% of their shortlisted candidates to the offer stage, and that going from making an offer to giving a start date takes 93 days, which is 34% higher than the industry average, and that they lose 1 in 5 candidates they make an offer to entirely because their competitors are able to act faster. But even though these indicators paint a very clear picture of the size of the pain, they're effectively just putting an analytical lens on the status quo. It doesn't talk to the implications of the pain. What happens if they don't change? Not just they'll continue to lose candidates, but that they may fall behind the competition in the race to AGI. The implications of pain is not just about the ROI of your solutions. It's not just about speeding up time to hire or increasing the candidate conversion rate. It's about the cost of inaction. The implications aren't even that they just lose candidates. It's that with every AIA player, they miss their competition gain. With every step they fall behind, their competition takes a step forward. That with every loss of talent, they lose a chance to lead the industry. They lose the chance to win more customers and win more funding, which means they can't invest in their infrastructure, all of which means they're going to fall further and further behind. For OpenAI, talent is the number one priority. It's mission critical. You may be thinking, yeah, well, obviously, Andy, but did it seem so obvious when we were merely highlighting the identified pain moments ago? It's the same when selling to your customers. If we merely identify pain, we're leaving the customers to figure out the implications for themselves. We're relying on them to figure out why change. And that ain't selling, that's order taking. Now, as much as I want to keep this video clear and concise and as short as possible, I can't, because one thing I see folks get wrong time and time again is that they consider pain to be company-wide. And at the identification and indication levels, it may be. Whether I am Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, their CPO, their CTO, or an engineering manager, slow and inefficient hiring is a pain, but the implications affect every executive differently. For the CEO, the implication is a lost market opportunity. If OpenAI can't scale talent quickly, it risks falling behind competitors in innovation and revenue-generating opportunity. For the CTO, it will lead to stalled development cycles, missed deployment timelines, and overloaded existing teams, which could lead to the risk of burnout. Whereas the implication for the chief people officer are that the current system is creating an operational burden. Their team is getting stretched, candidates are having a bad experience, and OpenAI's reputation in their industry is being harmed. Now, you can imagine how the chief people officer could be the economic buyer for a platform like the one we're selling here. And your champion could be the head of talent. But even if we did a 10 out of 10 job implicating the pain with them, we've not considered the implications to the CEO or CTO or anyone in their teams. Imagine you were competing with an identical solution to your own, but the competitor salesperson had broadened the implications to the CEO, CTO, and other roles. Even with the same solution, they're going to be much more successful than you are. If selling were a computer game, I'd just hit pause and up the difficulty setting to expert. The difference is that there is no easy mode in sales. If you try to skip steps, it'll cost you. Therefore, for us to truly use the three whys to a professional level, we have to consider them at the individual stakeholder level. It's why most companies that use the three whys will also use MEDDICC. The I and the M of MEDDICC capture the value elements to present to the economic buyer and champion to consider why they should change. Whereas YU is all about the D, not that D. Decision criteria and decision process. Decision criteria because the customer now believes in why they should change, and they're looking to you to inspire the decision criteria they will need to go from to get from pain to gain. Decision process because they are looking to you to provide the roadmap of how they will find the right solution to solve the pain. Now, just like why change, you have to consider these elements at the stakeholder level. The CTO will have different decision criteria from the chief people officer, and likewise, their decision processes will be different too. The CTO may be more interested in technical evaluation, whereas the CPO may be more interested in the business approval side of things. Now, at this point, I could wax lyrical about how the best salespeople see decision criteria not as something they react to, but as something they inspire and influence with their customer. How it's more than just technical decision criteria that matters, but relationship and economic basic decision criteria too. I could talk about how decision process isn't just about the process of getting the decision of becoming vendor of choice, but hundreds of decisions the customer will make and how to influence and accelerate those decisions along the way. But we gotta keep moving. YU is all about aligning the why change to you. It's the work you do to get the customer to agree that only your solution can provide the value they believe they'll get from changing. This is good selling, finding the pain, quantifying the value of solving the pain with metrics, and then locking the value into your unique differentiators by influencing the decision criteria. It not only stops your competition from being able to come along and say, yeah, we can do that too, but it lays traps for them to fall into at the same time. So, to recap so far, we've tackled why change by identifying pain, indicating the cost of pain, and showcasing the implications of it. We've connected our solution as the only one who can provide the unique value they can get from solving the pain with decision criteria. We've done this at the stakeholder level, ensuring each key stakeholder's key interests are built into the decision criteria. We've built a solid case for why change and why us. But now comes the third why. Why now? We've all seen those LUMAscape charts for our industry that show thousands of vendors that are also trying to sell to our customers. And that's just your vertical. The economic buyer probably has 10 versions that are applicable to them. So why, of all the things your customer could do, is yours the one that's going to be the highest value for them to tackle right now? Not to mention the consideration of the status quo. I mean, after all, they seem to have been fine without you so far, right? how compelling the answer is to why now very much depends on how much of a good job you've done with why change. Imagine if we had stuck at the I1 level, identify pain, and just done a demo to show how we solve the pain. It's hugely unlikely that this initiative would be at the top of the customer's priorities list. However, we went way beyond I1. We got into the implications and uncovered that it is mission critical to solve this problem. Can you imagine a salesperson trying to sell to the chief people officer at OpenAI an employee experience or learning and development solution? It's never going to seem as high a priority as our talent solution does right now. So the why now is really about urgency. We define urgency as being the combination of pain and metrics, but to be truly effective, it has to be time bound. This is where we can revisit the why change rationale and iterate it to create a more compelling why now. So instead of it being that OpenAI only convert 2% of their shortlisted candidates to offer stage, we can work with our champion to uncover that they anticipate they'll open 100 new roles in the next quarter. And therefore, if things don't change, they'll need to shortlist 5,000 candidates just to get the 100 offers they need to make. But it's actually worse than that, because they lose 1 in 5 candidates they make offers to competitors because their existing processes are so slow. So they actually need 6,000 candidates, which in talking to your champion is not only not possible, but it puts them at a real strain at the same time as well. Therefore, they need to change now. So why now? Well, if they don't change to our solution now, they'll miss their hiring goals, and all of the implications we've talked about will start to happen. So there we have it. Why change? Big implications if you don't. Why you? Only you can provide the unique value to support the change. Why now? Because the implications are so severe that if we don't, there'll be mission critical risk. What you should notice about this video is that while the 3 Whys is a brilliant framework to help focus stakeholders on the right things, it's actually the elements of MEDDICC that have powered the underlying methods we've taken to build value and urgency across stakeholders, such as how we have elevated MEDDICC with the 3 I's: identify, indication, and implication of pain. But also how we are able to use decision criteria proactively as a framework to inspire and lock in our differentiation with the customer. Not just the customer, but the specific roles and personas of champion and economic buyers. This is part of our approach to MEDDICC, but remember that not all MEDDICC is equal. Most companies just use MEDDICC as a reactive checklist, not a proactive methodology and common language. Our customers are using MEDDPICC as a common language across their entire go-to-market team, across the entire customer lifecycle. If you want to find out more about how we can help your entire go-to-market team level up with MEDDICC as a common language, then please get in touch. Until then, may your champions be strong.